With Fallout 76 fast approaching, the time that Fallout 4 will spend in the limelight is quickly coming to an end. Of course, it's still a Bethesda game, so there'll be people playing it years down the road like all the other ones that have been released, but as time goes on and we get more and more new releases from Bethesda, more of the community will move on to other things. So in this video, what I wanted to look at is 5 things from Fallout 4 that were never really answered, whether it be various questions that the community did have, or even just some of the lingering mysteries that have been carried over from previous games. Even though a lot of people expected Fallout 4 or its DLC to provide a solution for these things, they never did. So in this video, for one last time, I'm going to look at 5 of Fallout 4's biggest mysteries. So the first mystery we're going to look at is Fallout 4's Ghoul Whale. The Ghoul Whale is something that has been theorized and speculated about for literally years at this point. Well, this originates from a caravan worker at Bunker Hill. Sometimes he'll just have passive dialogue where he tells you the story of Old Peg, a ghoul whale that he did see in the Commonwealth.
But he stopped doing it for good the day he saw Old Peg, with his own 2 eyes. Old Peg? Is that supposed to mean something? You don't know of Old Peg? You've covered enough miles to know firsthand that radiation ravages all living things in its own way. But no one wonders about the deep blue sea. So one day, my grandpappy was egging. It was a foul day. Fog so thick you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. He was stumbling along and then he heard a tremendous clamoring from the ocean, like nothing he'd ever heard before or since. He stood still for a long time. The fog cleared for a brief moment, and that's when he saw the outline of the great behemoth. Massive. Bigger than anything you or I will ever see. Old Peg. A giant blue ghoul whale.
From there, people began searching. Was there some kind of custom or unique way to actually activate this ghoul whale's appearance? Was it deep within the depths of Fallout 4's ocean? You just had to actually find it? If you look around at some of the various beaches in Fallout 4, you'll find many different types of dead sea life, some of which actually appears to correspond to a whale skeleton. Now, whether or not that corresponds to a traditional whale skeleton or a ghoul whale skeleton, who knows? But some of these skeletons are even outside of the map, inaccessible in a normal game, but usable through cheats you're editing some of the config files. With the announcement of Far Harbor, most people assumed we'd get an answer to this, but no. We got more skeletons, and we certainly got more theories, but we never actually got our ghoul whale. Was this planned to be a major component of the game, just cut from Bethesda? If you actually look at many of the other cut files, what you find are a ton of undersea components, ranging from questing done under there, and even an undersea vault that you could eventually explore. The ghoul whale may have been planned for all of that, but eventually cut due to time constraints or just not wanting to have players interact with the undersea. At least for now though, many people do hold out that we'll eventually see a ghoul whale in at least one of the Fallout games, but until then all we have is that story from the caravan worker and a variety of different skeletons. Next up, we have what's actually going on with the Dunwich Company and the Dunwich Borers location in Fallout 4. This is one that actually begins with Fallout 3. In Fallout 3, you're going to find something called the Dunwich Building, the headquarters of Dunwich Borers LLC, a pre-war company that designed drills. Within that building, you're going to find many instances or suggestions at something supernatural or a higher power of some sort. This is continued in Fallout 4 with the Dunwich Borers location. At first glance, it's just a raider camp, but as you dig deeper and deeper, you're going to find that the supernatural is here too. You'll enter into various flashbacks, and at the end of this, actually find a massive steel head of some kind. This all leads to the question as to what's going on here exactly. You can find people worshipping at this altar in some of the flashbacks. You see this massive metal head, you see people worshipping it, experience hallucinations yourself, and even beyond that, as you're actually traversing through these tunnels, you feel shaking and visibly see it. This is all based on Lovecraftian lore, where basically there's this group of people known as the Old Ones that reside in an extra-dimensional location, but buried on Earth is an entity of their own, and that's what you find everyone worshipping, that giant metal head. That leaves the question as to how much of an effect does this actually have in Fallout 4's world? Obviously, the Dunwich Company was onto something. They knew something was going on here and were excavating this site as a result. How much exactly do they know, and what impact are these seemingly supernatural factors having on society? Based on seeing this in Fallout 3 and in Fallout 4, it seems very likely that we'll get a continuation of the Dunwich story, and I'm very excited to see where they go with it next. Next up, we do have the question as to why exactly are the children of Adam immune or seemingly immune to radiation? Even though they do get certain minor side effects, and there definitely may be a mental component to that, largely, the children of Adam in Fallout 4 survive radiation to a degree that would be lethal to you, the player, and most other human characters in that location. Is it simple tolerance where they slowly dose themselves on it until they build up a resistance? Or is there something more to that? Are the children of Adam actually onto something with their worshipping and gaining advanced abilities as a result of it? There are many theories surrounding this question also. Some people reckon that the children of Adam may be synths, but never have synth components, so that's often thrown out. But an alternate possibility could be a lot darker. What if the children of Adam are simply on the way to ghoulification? In some of the early stages, the radiation is eventually going to change them. But as of right now, at least, they're only getting some of the side effects and not the full frontal effect of actually looking like a ghoul. Or maybe beyond all of that, they're actually onto something with their worship of Adam. They actually are getting enhanced abilities as a result of this, and it wouldn't even be far-fetched based on a lot of the other supernatural aspects we do see in Fallout 4. As of right now, though, at least, there's a bunch of theories and no dedicated answer as to why exactly the children of Adam can survive in locations where even you as the player can't. Next, we do have the state of New York City. This is one that gets misconstrued very often as New York City is a massive crater. That's not exactly supported by the lore. Many of the instances we know about New York City are before the war. In Fallout 4's intro sequence, you hear that a detonation has occurred in New York.
Confirmed reports, I repeat, confirmed reports of nuclear detonations in New York and Pennsylvania.
And although that is obviously devastating, to what degree? Does that mean things are truly wiped out and it is a massive crater? Or is it much less than that? Is it just mostly wiped out and maybe many of the buildings have fallen? There's dialogue from the Brotherhood of Steel that on their way over to the Commonwealth, they actually passed many skyscrapers. These skyscrapers are obviously originating on the East Coast in some way, but where? Could it be someplace in Massachusetts itself? Could it be New York City or maybe even Philly? The simple reality of this is, as far as post-war New York City goes, we know very little. It obviously would be an immensely iconic location to make the setting of one of these games. I think if Bethesda was truly motivated, they would do enough retconning to justify a location set there.
The first thing is for us is figure out where the hell is this game set? And it wasn't Boston originally. So it was set somewhere else. And I still have a design doc in my desk, original design doc.
Emma's design doc focusing on a New York-based Fallout was one idea that the leads were floating around.
And last but not least, the one that probably impacts you the most in Fallout 4 is what's going on with all those damn mannequins. If you explore through Fallout 4's Commonwealth, you'll realize there's mannequins everywhere. If you're on a third or fourth playthrough, you've probably gotten to the point where you're just so used to seeing them that you don't even think about it, but walk around any of Fallout 4's major locations and you'll realize, yep, there's another mannequin. There are a ton of theories speculating as to why exactly these are here. Many think it might have something to do with the synths. We know the synths have enacted crows as their spies. Could mannequins also be a unit used by the Institute to actually spy on the Commonwealth? In one instance, you actually find a synth hiding among a group of mannequins. Could this be evidence to the fact that that theory is accurate? But things go much farther than that. Maybe it's not the synths, maybe it's raiders setting up mannequins everywhere to confuse their foes. Mannequins can be found in many locations where you do also find raiders, considering they pretty much span across the entire Commonwealth. Or even one final theory, maybe some guy at Bethesda just really freaking likes mannequins. No matter what idea you subscribe to, we don't have an answer, at least not a definitive one. There's evidence in the game of mannequins attacking certain NPCs, but that could just be fear-mongering or even effects of radiation. Why there are more mannequins than people in the Commonwealth is totally unclear and an unanswered question. And even beyond that, whether or not they actually have further abilities than just standing there is also pretty unclear, but highly speculated about. But with that, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Hopefully you guys found this interesting. If I somehow got one of these wrong and you actually know the answer to one of these mysteries, feel free to comment it down below, or even a theory you have as to an explanation. It's very likely that we'll never get real answers to many of these. The only real way we could is through Creation Club or an update in that regard, and I just don't see that happening. Either way, it's still fun to speculate and theorize about, and hopefully with Fallout 76, we have a whole plethora of new mysteries that we can explore and actually try and find true answers to. Either way, again, I thank you all for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.